the Agile Toolkit.
Hi, I'm your host Bob Payne here with my first edition of Diner Chat, and today I wanted to talk about something that a lot of people have been talking about on the boards for quite a while now, and I thought I'd just kind of get out there and give my opinion. There's been a lot of discussion around the SAFe framework, DAD framework, and less as possible frameworks for scaling Agile, and to be perfectly frank, a lot of people are very passionate about how the particular framework they're talking about is either the best thing that ever happened to Agile or the worst thing that could possibly happen to Agile. I can assure you that my thoughts are the truth is somewhere in between. All of those frameworks use techniques, practices that are rooted in true Agile behavior if implemented well. Now, most of the frameworks are way too large, the exception of possibly less. But certainly, SAFe and DAD, Disciplined Agile Delivery, and Scaled Agile Framework are both very large, and in fact intended for extremely large projects. Projects that are larger than most of the projects that you're probably having to deliver. Where I think the real value in these is they create a structure for understanding what's being developed, a structure for teams to deliver in an agile way at the team level, and integrate that code into working software that brings value to customers at the portfolio or product level. We've always used techniques that layered governance over Agile. You know, I don't want to be ugly, but Scrum of Scrums scales to about 3 or 4 teams, and it really only is decent as described in the literature for managing dependencies between teams. It doesn't talk about a portfolio view of the value or a good way for visibility of what's being delivered in the large. So ideas like integrated release planning, some small bit of architecture, a little bit of architectural runway in SAFe with architects working directly with the teams, I think is valuable. But remember, all of these frameworks are fundamentally based on the idea that you already have functioning Agile teams in your organization. If you don't have an Agile team, if you don't have a decent Scrum team, a Kanban team, a Scrumban team, an XP team, you are not going to be able to deliver a large project. Let's face it, if the teams can't deliver, putting items together from teams that aren't delivering is not going to help you. And no amount of architecture or oversight is going to solve for the fact that your teams can't deliver. So my recommendation, get your teams to deliver, really understand what these frameworks bring to the table, understand what you should and should not use. They are all frameworks. Use the pieces that make sense for your organization. Do not use the pieces that you think are not appropriate. Good example of this is a hardening sprint in SAFe. When we've scaled Agile to organizations, we put in hardening sprints. Not because we thought it was the best idea, but because based on the maturity of the organization, that's where they needed to get to. If you have an organization that can do continuous delivery across multiple teams on, at a minimum, a 2-week time scale, then if you have that, get rid of the hardening sprint. But it is a tool in your Agile toolkit, and that's all I've ever talked about. Pick the right tools, pick the right teams, and get out there and be Agile.